The wind at the cliff's edge screamed louder than guilt, carrying the smell of pine and cold stone as a wheelchair tipped forward, its metal frame catching the last light of dusk. For a brief moment, time seemed to hesitate, as if the earth itself refused to witness what was about to happen. Below, the ravine waited in terrible silence. Above, a sun stood rigid, wealthy and untouchable, convinced that money could erase a life as easily as it erased inconvenience. What he did not notice was the pair of amber eyes watching from the trees, steady and unblinking, bound by a loyalty that no cruelty could sever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of compassion, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel to help stories like this reach more hearts. Ethan Vale had everything the world applauds: a glass-walled mansion perched above a private forest, a name that opened doors, and a future already insured by trust funds and influence. What he did not have was patience. When his mother's accident left her paralyzed from the waist down, the hospital rooms became mirrors reflecting a life he did not want. The beeping machines, the routines, the careful planning required to care for someone who could not move on her own felt like chains around his ambition. He told himself it was mercy to end suffering, that a quick fall would be kinder than a long decline. The lies stacked neatly in his mind, smooth and convincing, until he believed them. He wheeled her to the cliff at sunset because he wanted beauty to soften the act, forgetting that beauty remembers everything. She had once been the center of his world, a woman who worked double shifts and stitched his torn school uniform by hand, who taught him to read by lamplight and held his fevered head through long nights. After the accident, her eyes still held that same gentleness, though her body no longer obeyed her will. She trusted him because mothers often do, trusting even when instinct whispers otherwise. As the chair rolled forward and vanished, the forest swallowed the sound, and the sun turned away before his conscience could speak. He did not look back. He did not notice the dog he had tied to a nearby tree hours earlier, a loyal shepherd mix his mother had rescued years ago, trembling now as the rope snapped tight against its collar. Night settled like a heavy curtain. The dog strained until its paws bled, pulling against bark and stone, refusing to accept the finality the man had imposed. When the rope finally frayed, the animal bolted toward the ravine, guided by scent and instinct rather than reason. Below, fate had been less decisive than the sun believed. A narrow ledge, hidden by brush and shadow, had broken the fall. The wheelchair lay twisted, but the woman clung to breath and pain, her body bruised, her spirit battered yet alive. The dog found her by dawn, its warmth pressed against her chest, its tongue brushing her face, its presence a promise that she was not alone. Days passed in a blur of hunger, cold, and fear. The ledge was unforgiving, the climb impossible for a paralyzed body. Yet survival is not always a roar, sometimes it is a whisper that refuses to fade. The dog hunted small game, dragged scraps, and barked until its throat grew raw, a living signal flung into the vastness. Hikers heard nothing at first. The forest kept its secrets. But persistence has a sound that carries. On the third day, a park ranger noticed the dog's tracks circling the same place, the same frantic pattern carved into mud and leaves. Curiosity turned into dread, and dread into action as ropes were lowered and eyes peered into the green-black depths. The rescue was careful, reverent, as if the forest demanded respect for the life it had guarded. The woman was lifted with hands that trembled, not from fear but from awe at what endurance looks like when stripped of comfort. The dog was carried too, muddy and exhausted, its head resting against the woman's shoulder as if reclaiming a place it had never truly lost. At the hospital, truth unfolded with medical charts and police reports. The story of an accident did not survive scrutiny. Evidence accumulates like rain, and even wealth cannot keep every drop away. Cameras on the access road, the snapped rope, the angle of the fall, the absence of grief in a son's practice statements, each detail tightened the net. Ethan watched his world shrink as headlines replaced invitations and handcuffs replaced keys. In the silence of a holding cell, stripped of applause and insulation, the lies collapsed. What remained was the image he could not escape, a wheelchair tipping, a mother's trust betrayed, and a dog he had dismissed as an inconvenience becoming the witness that saved her. The court did not debate intent for long. Justice does not need poetry, it needs facts. Sentencing came with the weight of inevitability, and the echo of a name once spoken with pride now spoken with pity. Recovery was slow and imperfect, but life stitched itself back together in small, defiant ways. The woman learned new rhythms with her body, supported by therapists and strangers who became friends. The dog never left her side, a quiet sentinel through sleepless nights and difficult mornings. When she finally returned to the forest, not to the cliff but to a sunlit trail nearby, she felt something loosen inside her chest. Survival had given her a voice she did not know she still possessed. She used it to speak about forgiveness without surrender, about love without blindness, about how loyalty can arrive on four legs and change the course of fate. If this story has touched your heart, please take a moment to like and share this video, and subscribe to the channel so more stories of courage and compassion can reach those who need them. Before the ending, we invite you to leave a comment sharing what this story made you feel, because your words matter more than you know. In the end, the cliff remained where it always had, indifferent and patient. What changed was the truth etched into the lives it nearly consumed, that cruelty often forgets the smallest things, and those smallest things can become the strongest witnesses. A son learned that wealth cannot buy silence. A mother learned that trust, once broken, can still give birth to strength. And a dog proved that love, unburdened by reason, can pull a life back from the edge and remind the world that hope sometimes survives on a narrow ledge, waiting to be found.